Tell me again why I shouldn't kill you right now. I stared at the man holding a gun to my head, my husband, and wondered how my life had turned into a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. 3 months ago, I was a teacher in Lagos with dreams bigger than my father's debts. Now I was lying in a pool of my own blood in a Korean mansion, listening to gospel music play while assassins hunted me through rooms I still didn't know the names of. This is the story of how I was sold to the Korean mafia to pay off my father's sins. How I married a killer who was supposed to be my prison guard but became something I never expected. How I went from victim to survivor to something far more dangerous. This is the story of how I learned that sometimes, the only way to be free is to become the monster everyone fears. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let me take you back to where it really began, not the night they came for me in Lagos, but the night I realized I was never getting out of this alive. 3 months. 91 days since they'd taken me from Lagos, from everything I knew, everyone I loved. 91 nights in this beautiful prison they called the Kang compound, sleeping beside a man who treated me like expensive furniture he hadn't decided how to use yet. I pressed my back against the bed frame, my fingers finding the rosary I'd hidden under the mattress. The beads were warm from being clutched too many nights when sleep wouldn't come. Outside my window, I could hear the guards changing shifts, their boots crunching on gravel, voices low and careful. Always careful. Everything in this place was measured, controlled, deadly. If you're watching this, hit that subscribe button now because what happens next is going to change everything. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single moment. The gospel music played from my phone, *Amazing Grace*, downloaded before I left Lagos because I'd known I'd need something to hold on to. Something that reminded me I was still Zara Okafor from Suralere, still the girl who'd wanted to change the world one classroom at a time. Not this hollow thing I'd become, learning Korean phrases and syndicate protocols, memorizing which bow to give which family member, keeping my head down and my mouth shut. I should have been asleep. It was past midnight, and today, technically, I had another language lesson with the tutor who looked at me like I was contaminating his pristine Korean with my Nigerian accent. Then lunch with Miho's mother, who spoke to me in painfully slow Korean like I was a child, her pity somehow worse than her husband's cold dismissal. But I couldn't sleep. Hadn't slept properly in weeks. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my sister Chisholm's face when they dragged me away. Heard my father's pathetic excuses, his justifications, his promises that this was temporary, that he'd fix everything, that I'd come home soon. Lies. All of it. I pulled up my phone, scrolled to the messages I'd sent Chisholm earlier. 3 messages, all undelivered. The same status they'd had for the last month. Either she'd blocked my number or someone had. Probably the latter. My father, making sure I couldn't contaminate his second chance with the truth about what he'd done. A sound outside made me freeze. Not the guards this time. Something else. A dull thud, like something heavy hitting the ground. Then silence. Too much silence. The kind that made your skin crawl. I set down my phone carefully, my heart starting to hammer. The guards always talked during shift changes. Always. The silence was wrong. Another sound. Closer. Like breaking glass, but distant. From another part of the compound. Then gunfire. Not distant anymore. Right outside. The rapid burst of automatic weapons, then an explosion that shook the entire building. The lights flickered, went out, came back on. My phone clattered to the floor, gospel music cutting out mid-note. I scrambled to my feet, my breath coming too fast. This was it. Whatever I'd been afraid of these past 3 months, whatever vague threat had kept me compliant and quiet, it was here. It was happening. More gunfire. Screaming now, men shouting in Korean. I caught fragments, breach, west wall, something that might have been, kill them all. The window exploded. I dropped to the floor as glass rained down, my hip cracking hard against the wood. Pain shot up my side but I barely felt it. Bullets punched through the walls above my head, tearing through silk screens and plaster, turning my prison into a death trap. I crawled toward the bed on instinct, my hands sliding in something wet. Blood. Mine. Glass had torn open my palms, my knees. I could feel it grinding into my skin as I moved, but I couldn't stop. The bed wouldn't protect me from bullets, but my body didn't care about logic anymore. Chinik na, baiko chekwa m, I whispered, the Igbo prayer tumbling out before I could think. God the Father, please protect me. My grandmother's words, from a lifetime ago when the worst thing I'd feared was failing an exam. Footsteps in the hallway. Heavy boots. Multiple sets. Coming fast. I pressed myself against the bed frame, making myself as small as possible. My hand found the bedside lamp and I yanked it from the socket, gripping it like a weapon. Ceramic against guns. Useless. But I'd be damned if I died without fighting. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. I heard voices. Korean, too fast for me to understand more than a few words. Room. Woman. Target. Target. They were talking about me. This wasn't random violence. This was specific. Planned. Someone wanted me dead. The door handle turned and I raised the lamp, my whole body shaking so hard I could barely hold it. This was it. This was how I died. 25 years old, murdered in a foreign country by people whose faces I'd never see, for reasons I'd never understand. The door exploded inward. Not opened, exploded. Wood and plaster and metal burst into the room in a shower of debris that peppered my face, my arms. A figure crashed through and I swung the lamp with everything I had, aiming for where a head should be. A hand caught my wrist mid-swing. The grip was crushing, stopping my momentum so completely I gasped. It's me. Miho's voice. I blinked through tears and dust and saw his face inches from mine. Blood streaked down from a cut above his eyebrow. His shirt was torn, splattered with more blood, too much to be just his. His eyes were wild, pupils blown wide, and in his other hand he held a gun that was still smoking. Behind him, in the hallway, I saw them. 2 bodies. Fresh kills. One man's chest was torn open, the other missing half his face. The blood was still spreading across the floor, pooling around their bodies, creeping toward my doorway. My stomach heaved. Don't look, Miho said sharply, but I already had. I'd already seen everything. Zara, look at me. Only at me. I dragged my eyes back to his face. He was breathing hard, his chest heaving, and I realized with a shock that he was afraid. I'd never seen fear in him before. Not once in 3 months of cold dinners and colder silences. We need to move, he said. Now. Can you do that? I tried to nod but my head wouldn't move properly. My whole body had locked up, every muscle frozen. Zara. His voice sharpened, taking on that edge I'd learned meant danger. I need you to move. Can you do that or not? Yes. Yes, I can, the words came out broken, barely coherent. He pulled me up and I cried out. My feet were bare and there was glass everywhere, grinding into my soles, tearing fresh cuts. Blood bloomed on the polished wood where I'd crawled. Miho cursed in Korean, low and vicious, and then he was lifting me. One arm under my knees, the other around my back, cradling me against his chest like I weighed nothing. His heart slammed against my side, rapid fire, matching my own panicked rhythm. We'd never touched like this. In 3 months of sharing a bed, we'd never been closer than the wall of pillows between us. Now I could smell gunpowder and sweat and copper scent blood, could feel every muscle in his body coiled tight and ready. Hold on to me, he said. I did. My arms went around his neck and my fingers dug into his shoulders and he moved, carrying me through the destroyed doorway and into the hallway. I tried to keep my eyes open but they kept wanting to close, to shut out the bodies, the blood, the reality of what was happening. Eyes open, Miho ordered. You close them and you'll panic. Keep them open. Trust me. Trust him. The man who'd bought me like property. The killer who barely spoke to me. The stranger I'd been forced to call husband. But I opened my eyes. Kept them open as he carried me past more bodies, more blood, past walls torn apart by bullets and paintings destroyed, and everything beautiful turned violent. We reached a section of wall that looked completely ordinary, but Minho shifted my weight, pressed something, and a panel slid open. A hidden passage. Of course. Of course there were hidden passages in a mafia compound. He ducked inside and the panel closed behind us with a soft click that sounded too final. Emergency lighting flickered on, dim red bulbs that made everything look like a horror film. "Can you walk?" he asked. "I don't know. Maybe." He set me down carefully, one arm still around my waist to steady me. My feet touched cold concrete and pain exploded up my legs. Glass was still embedded in my soles, but I could stand. Barely. Good. He pulled off his shirt, and I saw everything he'd kept hidden. Tattoos covering his torso, dark scales that might have been a dragon. Scars, too many scars, crisscrossing his skin like a map of violence. He ripped the shirt into strips. "This will hurt." He knelt in front of me and started wrapping my feet with the makeshift bandages. His hands were surprisingly gentle despite the blood on them, despite the gun he'd laid on the floor within easy reach. I watched his face as he worked. His jaw was clenched so hard I could see the muscle jumping. His hands were shaking. "You're scared," I said. The words came out before I could stop them. His eyes flicked up to mine. Dark eyes, almost black in the red lighting, and for the first time I saw something real in them. Not the cold mask he always wore. Something raw. "Yes," he said simply. I'd never heard him admit to feeling anything. In 3 months of careful distance and colder words, he'd shown me nothing human. And now, in the middle of this nightmare, he gave me that single word. "Yes." "Why?" I asked. He finished tying off the bandages and stood, picking up his gun with practiced efficiency. "Because they didn't come for me first. They came for you." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What?" "Park Syndicate." His voice had gone flat, emotionless, back to the mask. "They breached your room first. Specifically. Before they hit any tactical positions. Before they went for the weapons cache or my father's office. You were the primary target. But that doesn't make sense. I'm nobody. I'm just. You're not nobody." The words came out harsh, almost angry. "Not anymore. And they know it." Before I could process that, before I could even begin to understand what he meant, a radio crackled on his belt. A woman's voice came through, speaking rapid Korean. Minho responded in the same clipped tones, then switched to English. "How many dead?" The voice, Jisoo, I realized, his enforcer, the woman who'd picked me up from the airport with murder in her eyes, responded, 12 confirmed. 6 ours, 6 theirs. Compound is secure, but we have a situation. Define situation. There was a pause. A long pause that made my skin crawl. We caught one alive. He was trying to breach the east wall. Had someone with him. A girl. Civilian. Another pause. She says she's looking for Zara. My chest constricted. The concrete walls seemed to press in. Description, Minho said, his eyes locked on mine now. Young. Maybe 16. Nigerian. Keeps screaming that her sister is here and she needs to see her, needs to. The world stopped. Just stopped. Everything went silent except for the roaring in my ears. "Her name," I whispered. My voice sounded strange, like it was coming from very far away. "Ask her name." Minho repeated the question into the radio. I watched his face, saw the exact moment Jisoo answered, saw something shift behind his eyes. "Chisholm," he said, looking at me. "She says her name is Chisholm Okafor." My knees gave out. Just completely gave out. Minho caught me before I hit the ground, but I barely felt his hands on me. Barely felt anything except the crushing weight of impossible reality. Chisholm. My baby sister. The girl I'd sacrificed everything to protect. The reason I'd gotten on that plane, signed my life away, agreed to marry a stranger. Chisholm, who was supposed to be safe in Lagos, finishing school, living the life I'd bought for her with my freedom. That's impossible, I said, but even as the words left my mouth I knew they meant nothing. Nothing was impossible. Not anymore. Your sister? Minho asked quietly. I managed to nod. His expression shifted. Something passed behind his eyes, calculation, decision, then that deadly calm settled over his features. The expression I'd learned meant someone was about to die. He lifted the radio. Jisoo. Full lockdown. No one leaves the compound. No one touches the girl. No one even looks at her wrong. Understood? Understood, boss. We're coming up. He clipped the radio back to his belt and looked at me. Really looked at me, and I saw the Ghost of Busan in his eyes, the killer, the enforcer, the man whose reputation was built on brutality. Can you walk? Yes. I didn't know if it was true, but I'd crawl on broken glass if I had to. Chisholm was here. Somehow, impossibly, my sister was here. Then let's go. He started toward the passage that led up, then stopped, glancing back. Zara. What? When we get there, don't ask how she found you. Not yet. His voice was careful now, controlled. Something's wrong about this. Fear clawed up my throat. What do you mean? I mean your father knew the terms. Your sister stays in Lagos. Never contacts you. Never tries to find you. That was the deal. His jaw worked. Someone sent her here. Someone wanted her to breach this compound tonight, during an attack. The implications crashed over me like ice water. You think it's a trap? I think, he said slowly, each word deliberate, that someone just weaponized your sister against you. The question is who? And why? He moved down the passage and I followed, each step sending fresh agony through my feet. But the physical pain was nothing. Nothing compared to the realization burning through my mind. For 3 months I'd been a victim. Powerless. Trapped. I'd told myself that if I could just survive, just endure, maybe I'd find my way back to the person I used to be. But that person was dead. The girl who'd taught primary school and dreamed of changing the world, she died the moment she signed that blood contract. And if someone thought they could use my sister against me, if they thought I was still that helpless girl from Lagos, they were about to learn exactly how wrong they were. Ahead, I could hear voices. Shouting. Someone crying, high-pitched, terrified, calling my name over and over. Chisholm. Minho glanced back one more time. Whatever happens up there, stay behind me. And Zara? What? Welcome to the war. The passage opened into the main courtyard and I stepped through into chaos. My sister on her knees in the center, surrounded by armed men, their guns trained on her. Blood on her school uniform, she was still wearing her school uniform. And in her hand, clutched so tight her knuckles had gone white, a photograph. Of me. With words scrawled across it in handwriting I'd recognize anywhere. My father's handwriting. His distinctive loops and slashes, the way he always pressed too hard with the pen. 3 words that made my blood run cold. Come home. Immediately. If you're still with me, drop a like and comment below what you think is about to happen. Is this a trap? Who sent Chisholm? And what does Zara's father really want? Subscribe because part 2 is going to tear your heart out, and you don't want to miss it.